Hey guys, how's it going and welcome back. So about 6 months ago, I picked up this drive off of Amazon for like 30 bucks Canadian. Now it's not a drive, it's just a case for an NVMe drive. Also works with SATAs apparently too. Anyways, initially this thing worked great. I had no problems with it. I pretty much got the expected speeds because it's an unpowered drive. Now it is Type-C ported, okay? It does come with a Type-C to Type-C cable as well as a Type-C to Type-A. So kind of depends on your computer. It works both ways, so you can use an NVMe on a computer that doesn't have a Type-C port. Because let's face it, not a whole ton load of PCs, for laptops especially, even come with a Type-C, right? More and more are for PCs, but Macs, well, pretty much every Mac for a number of years now has always had Type-C ports on them, so not a big deal, right? And of course, you got your Thunderbolt too, right? Thunderbolt ports, not a very common thing on Windows computers. Very common, of course, on Mac. But this is not Thunderbolt. But Thunderbolt connection and Type-C are the exact same connection, with the difference being is the speed of the data pass, depending on which drive you've got on there, right? But same amperage, 900 milliamps, same voltage as always, 5 volts. Out of any port when it comes to Type A or Type-C or Thunderbolt. They're all 5 volts. Anyhow, it's been about 6 months, and in the last month I've been having a couple of issues with this thing. I don't use it full time, right? It's just I use it often, right? So it gets unplugged a lot, which is fine, no big deal. It does have a 4 terabyte max. I'm just looking down at my sheet here just because I'm trying to read what I've got for specs on this thing. 4 terabyte max drive. Now, at first I would have said, yes, this is a really great drive. It did really well. I was very impressed with it. But after about 6 months of using this thing, like some products, we require an update. Now, that review, by the way, was a combo, basically show and tell and review with an NVMe Western Digital drive I had bought. So I got the drive from Best Buy. I got this from Amazon, and away we go, right? Anyways, it's going a little flaky on me, which, it'll mount and I'll be fine. I'll start copying small files. I'm okay as long as I'm doing small little things. It's when I start to do a little bit bigger files that, yeah, it actually decides to go bleh. Like the other day, I was trying to back up some stuff because of getting that new fastest drive on planet Earth that I threw inside my PC because it'll support it. And yeah, by the way, really sick drive. Oh man, I can't believe how fast that thing goes. But anyways, so I'm trying to do backups. This is the only other case I had free at the time to do stuff with, and it kept knocking itself off. So I thought, all right, well, I gotta get this done. So I grabbed my Sabrin case off my Mac, pulled the drive out, threw the drive into it that I needed, and everything was fine after that. We were all good. Anyways, I'm going to say don't buy this drive, okay? Now, it is kind of neat, though. I mean, it comes apart really simple, just slide apart. They even give you one of those like silicone-type heat strips that go over your drive, because any drive you do buy for a lot of these internal cases won't support drives that already have their own heat sinks on them, because there's just not enough space in there. They didn't think about that one too carefully, did they? So anyways, but yeah, it's a nice little drive unit. I've checked the connection points on this. There's nothing, broken away or loose or any of that. I'm kind of like, well, what's going on? I even tried different cables from other drives that I have kicking around. And yeah, to no avail. It doesn't seem to be a cable issue. It doesn't seem to be anything wrong physically that you can actually see, or connection point. Yeah, it's fine. So there's got to be something else going on with this thing, and it just doesn't want to do anything more than small little files at a time. And as soon as you do anything more, it just craps out and cuts off of your computer, and then bounces right back up again. It's a lack of everything. I'm thinking it's got to be something to do with the power section of the drive. It's the only thing I can think of. Something in the power section. Now, here's the thing with NVMEs, and you may or may not be aware of it, but I've said it enough times on the channel, so you should be by now. And that's the simple fact that NVMe drives, even the SATA style, so your B and M keyed ones that fit in these things too, these drives require a lot of amperage. Okay, usually about 2 amps or more, depending upon how fast the drive is, the manufacturer, etc. I've seen drives the exact same size, same speed ratings. One from one manufacturer wants 2.2 amps, the other one wants over 3 amps. We just don't have that kind of power. We only have 900 milliamps, right? So this causes drives to heat up a lot and run a lot hotter than what they should, and they're being starved for power. They want to go fast, but you only have a certain amount of speed that you're limited to as well on Type C. But even at that, we should be seeing more speed on Type C if these cases had separate power supplies to power the drive properly inside, because they are amp hogs. It's the same with your laptop style drives. They chew anywhere from 1 to 1.6 amps, right, is what they want. Now, internally, any of these drive form factors will work fantastic. They'll run much cooler, of course, because they're getting the amperage, because internally they can get that. But the unfortunate thing is when it comes to your desktops and your laptops now from Apple, well, yeah, we're kind of stuck with what we got, right? It's been like that for several years now. You can no longer do anything internal with RAM or drives, other than, of course, the Mac Pro. That's the exception to the rule. And the iMacs and the iMac Pros were an exception to that rule as well, where we could do internal stuff. But anything else, desktop from Apple, no. And PC laptops, yeah, no problem. As long as it's got a port, you can throw these things in. Desktops from PC World, as long as they have an NVMe slot or 2 or 3 or 4 on the motherboards, yep, you can use these internal. So why go external, right? But external is kind of handy, especially if you just want a data drive that you only want to put on there once in a while. They're coming in handy. But the way things are going nowadays, and the limitations that we have, we do have to use a lot of external devices. And so we're going to want to buy a quality device. Now, so far, that Sabrent external case that I bought is doing wonderful on my Mac. And I ordered another one, which will be in at some point by the end of the week, because now I've done that upgrade. I've got 2 terabytes of storage now on my laptop. Now I got the 500 original, and I have a 256 from my HP. So I need more cases for these drives. So for now, I got one more Sabrent case. And out of over 7,000 plus people on Amazon that bought it, and pretty much every YouTuber on YouTube that's had this case, they've not had any issues with it. You're still not going to get full horsepower out of your drive, but they work, they're stable, they're not screwing up. The little things like this, yeah, they're apparently not so great for 30 bucks. So it's too bad their refund time isn't longer. I'd get a refund on the thing, because that was basically, in the end, a waste of money. But you don't find things out unless you try and learn. It is nice, though. It's got a nice metal heatsink up top, though, to keep things cool. There's also another case on the market that, even though I haven't really heard anything bad about it, I'm not going to recommend it. They do have it in a regular Type-C form factor, and they also have a Thunderbolt version of this case. And it's completely see-through. You'll know it to see it, okay? And it's got its own heatsink there. I would probably say stay away from that one as well. I got this irky feeling that it's not going to be that great of a case. So, I mean, if this thing failed at 30 bucks and it hasn't been used a whole ton, yeah, I'm kind of wondering about that other one. So I'd probably be a little bit more worried about that other one as well. So, but you never know. Time always tells. Some people do updates, some people don't. But initial impressions are what we need to go by mostly, because this is where we're at. I don't like waiting 6 months just to do a review, because it's kind of pointless. This is why we have update reviews to let you know the longer haul. Kind of like, when we buy a computer. What's it like now? What do we think of it? What's it like 6 months or a year down the road? That's kind of where we do updates, and we need to do updates, especially after a year. I mean, you should know after a year of torturing a poor computer if it's going to be a viable subject or not, like product-wise to buy. So that, and because you're going to have more and more idea of the loads you're putting them under, etc. And that's the same thing with these drive cases. You know, initially they could be working really good, they do really well, but what are they like 6 months down the road? And that's kind of where we're at with this one. So initially, I think I remember I put a 4 out of 5 on this case with my initial impressions. I would like to now change that answer to pretty much 2 out of 5. Mainly because I'm still going to give it some kudos because I like the sleek style. I like the heat sink on top. They do include that thermo pad, which is handy. You do have 2 cable choices, so if you don't have a Type-C port, they do give you a Type-C to Type-A cable, so you can still use this on any computer, okay, which is kind of bonus. Well, almost any computer. I will rephrase that, almost any computer, because I can't guarantee that. But the other thing, too, is you don't have to worry about buying this case now. It's no longer available on Amazon.ca. It might still be available on Amazon.com or .uk or wherever, but definitely not in Canada anymore. No longer available, and it could be because it's had a lot of failures. I don't really know the reason why it's been hauled off, but yeah, it's not a good buy. But I still have to give it the kudos for what it is. When it was working, it was fine, but putting all that aside, it's still a really cool looking case. Although it's now ready for the NIM bin because that's all this thing is actually good for now is the garbage can, because I can't even figure out what went wrong with this thing. I wish I could, and I wish I could fix it, but you know, because it is kind of neat and I love that color of blue, but just because you like something don't mean it's going to work out for you. Anyways, that's all I got. So comments as usual down below. Anybody who did buy this, if you haven't had any problems with it, crossed fingers, hopefully you're okay. I ended up with some issues. That means we had to do an update, and I'm not going to recommend this unit. If you can still get it, definitely not going to recommend buying it. I would suggest going for the Sabrent case that I recently reviewed. That thing has had so much viewership on YouTube since it came out. It's still getting people. Well, of course, I was one of them recently that bought it. And over 7,000 reviews even on Amazon, and that's the Amazon.ca site. And this case is doing great. You know, you're still not going to get top speeds, okay? So don't waste your money on a really super fast drive. I mean, there's nothing wrong with buying a 35 by 3000, but you're still only going to see somewhere around 800 megabits per second using Blackmagic disk speed. On a PC, you might see that 1000 range, okay, using Crystal Disk, because they report slightly differently, right? But either way, our best solution for the best Type-C cases to get a lot more speed out of these things and run them cooler is if we can find somebody out there that has actual powered cases for USB 3.1, 3.2, because that would be our biggest benefit. You know, or everybody's going to have to start buying Thunderbolt cases, and they start out at 140 bucks Canadian for a Thunderbolt case, and that's even a non-powered one. And you're still suffering the drive a lot, you know, because you're still losing that amperage. And a powered case will set you back almost 400 bucks Canadian, you know, for a decent one that's also going to run really good speeds, you know. So yeah. And if you're thinking about the fastest drive on earth for your Mac on an external Thunderbolt, do yourself a favor. Don't get a non-powered case, because you're only going to see maybe 3,000 megabits per second on those cases on average with that 7,000 megabit per second drive. I've been watching enough videos on that, and it's kind of like, man, I'm just waiting for these things to just light up on people, because you know, when you starve a drive too much, it just gets hot. And when you put it under big loads and you're not giving it enough amperage for the drive, it will cook the drive. It's guaranteed. Eventually, it's going to cook it. It's going to fail. And depending on how your daily load goes, depends on how fast that happens. So the more you use it, the sooner it's going to happen. So if you value your data, get a powered external case for Thunderbolt. And there are Thunderbolt drives, by the way, that will go backwards compatible to regular Type C. So, you know, don't freak out going, oh, I don't have a Thunderbolt port. Don't worry about it. They will go, a lot of them will go backwards compatible, from what I've been reading at least on all these Amazon posts from the manufacturers. A lot of them do seem to. So I'd probably go that route. More money, but, you know, but you're still not going to get the speeds. Type C is still going to be very limited regardless. Like, I don't know what to tell you guys. It's kind of your thing. It's up to you what you do. I'm just here to tell you what I know from hands-on experience, what I know as well from what I've seen on videos and from what I've read on reviews, etc. And, you know, and stuff I deal with myself every day. You know, I go by my experience, right? So it's still your choice in the end, but, you know. Anyway, yeah, that's it. So thanks for watching, hanging out. Let me know in the comments below what you think. And stay tuned. Should have my new hub today, actually. We should be checking that out and seeing if it's any good. Because that cost me a few bucks. But I needed another hub. It's not the kind of hub you think, so you'll have to stay tuned and check out the video when it shows up. But anyways, thanks for watching. See ya.